When I refused to lend my husband's brother money, his family declared a family vote to force me. They smiled. Majority rules. My husband just watched. I smiled back and said, then let's vote on something else. Moments later, I pulled out a paper, and the room exploded into chaos. This happened last year, still fresh, still raw. I was married for 8 years, and I thought I knew what loyalty looked like. I thought marriage meant partnership. I thought family didn't just mean blood, it meant whoever stood beside you when things got hard. I was wrong. Let's rewind a bit. I live in a small town in upstate New York. My husband, Brian, comes from a large, very traditional family. Think every Sunday dinner at mom's type of thing. Lots of expectations, lots of opinions, lots of unspoken rules. I didn't grow up like that, but I made the effort. I showed up, I smiled, I brought dishes, I played nice. His family never quite accepted me. They were polite, but there was always a layer of something. Like I was on the outside of an inside joke I'd never be part of. Still, I loved Brian, and I believed love was enough. Then his younger brother, Ryan, got himself into some serious financial trouble. Ryan is the type who always seems to have a plan that never works out. From drop-shipping empires to crypto consulting to luxury car flipping, he's tried it all and failed at it all. The family always brushed it off. He's just figuring it out, they'd say. He's ambitious. Well, this time, Ryan took out a huge personal loan under his name and convinced his parents to co-sign. Surprise, he defaulted, and the bank came knocking. I guess they assumed I'd be the safety net. I work full-time as a surgical nurse. I'm good with money. Brian and I have no kids, and over the years, I've been pretty disciplined with our savings. So naturally, Ryan showed up at our house one day with this whole sob story about needing $18,000 just for a few months. I told him no, politely, calmly. I explained that our money was tied up in house repairs, and that I wasn't comfortable lending that amount to someone with a track record like his. He didn't argue, he just nodded, said he understood, and left. I actually felt bad for him for a second, until 3 days later, when I got invited to a family meeting. It was at Brian's parents' house. I walked in, and every sibling, every spouse, the parents, everyone was there. Except Ryan, weirdly, he was running late. They were all smiling in that overly nice way that makes your skin crawl. Then it started. Brian's dad said they'd been talking as a family. They were concerned about Ryan. They knew I had the money, and they decided that since Ryan's situation affected all of them, they should handle it democratically. And that's when they said it. We're calling a family vote. A family vote. Like I was some hostile corporate takeover target. I looked at Brian, waiting for him to shut it down. He didn't. He just looked tired, or maybe scared, hard to tell. I asked, "You're serious?" His mom said yes. Majority rules, that way it's fair. Like this was some courtroom and not my life. I stayed quiet. They voted. Every single person voted yes, that Brian and I should lend Ryan the money. Then they all looked at me, waiting. Like I was just supposed to agree, because they'd done some weird culty ritual. I nodded slowly and said okay. Let's vote on something else now. There was some confused silence. My voice stayed calm, flat. I reached into my purse and pulled out a manila envelope. I slid it across the table toward Brian. He looked confused. His dad said, "What's this?" I said, "It's a copy of the quitclaim deed for the house Brian and I live in, the one we fully own. My name is the only one on the title." More silence. I opened the envelope and pulled out a second paper. "And here's a notarized prenup amendment I had drawn up last month. Since you all like votes, I thought I'd make sure my assets are clearly separated. Brian, I left a copy on your nightstand last week, just in case." His mother looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. His sister's jaw dropped. His father's face went red. I looked directly at Brian. "So, do you want to have another vote? This time about whether we stay married?" He didn't answer. The room was dead quiet. Then Ryan walked in. And that's when everything really fell apart. Ryan walked in all casual, like he hadn't just thrown a grenade into my marriage. He gave that same half smile he always had, smug, like the world was supposed to bend for him. "Sorry I'm late," he said, flopping into the only empty chair at the table, like this was some kind of brunch. He looked around, noticed the envelope on the table, saw everyone's faces. "What did I miss?" he asked, grinning. No one answered him. His mom cleared her throat and said, "We were discussing options." I looked directly at Ryan. I told them no. He tilted his head. "Yeah, and we voted." I smiled just a little. "Right, and I voted too, with legal documents." That wiped the grin off his face. I could see his brain working, trying to figure out where his backup went. That's when it hit me. He didn't know about the prenup change. He didn't even know I was serious. He looked to Brian. "Dude, what the hell?" Brian just sat there, still not saying anything. So Ryan snapped. He stood up and said, loud, "You're just going to let her do this? Let her embarrass us like this?" Us. That one word made something snap inside me, like I wasn't a person anymore, just some outside enemy. Brian opened his mouth. Now you can watch the second part by pressing share and more.